Hi, Auntie Karen here. I want to teach you how to do the Kitchener stitch or grafting stitch. The Kitchener stitch is a method of grafting stitches, two sets of live stitches together to form an invisible seam. And the first thing that you need to do is divide your garment stitches equally on either two different straight needles. Here I have it on a circular needle, but I've found the midpoint and halfway point and divided them the same equal number of stitches on each set of needles here. And I am using a contrasting color of yarn rather than the working yarn, so it'll be easier to see. You would, however, use a long length of your actual working yarn. An estimate would be about 3 times the length or the width of your finished piece. So if you need to cut your yarn, I would lay it out generously, at least 3 times the width of your finished garment, and snip your end. You'll thread that end onto a tapestry needle. And I'm using a contrast color. And now that you have this long end on your tapestry needle, you're going to use this needle to mimic a knitting needle and weave in and out of the stitches to form what looks like a row of plain knitting. And you will cinch those stitches together. There's a beginning part, middle part, and end part when you do the Kitchener or grafting stitch. The first 2 stitches is the setup. So what you'll do is take your tapestry needle, and your yarn will be on the back needle as you hold it in front of you. And you hold them fairly close together. You will take your tapestry needle, and as if you're purling the first stitch, you'll put it between the stitch, bring it through as if to purl, and pull the yarn end through to the end. Now, with your needle under your needle, you're going to pretend to knit. Put your tapestry needle in the back needle as if you're going to knit the stitch, and you're going to pull that yarn through. You're leaving the stitches at this point on the needle. Okay, that was the setup 2 stitches. Now we're going to go through to the rhythmic in and out that will create the seam. Now you'll knit the stitch on the front needle, pull it off, purl the stitch on the front needle, and leave it on. Pull the yarn through. It's time for the back needle. You'll purl the stitch, pull it off, knit the back next stitch as if to knit, leave on, pull it through. This is the basic grafting stitch. Again, now we're in the front needle. Knit off, purl on. Go underneath your needle here. Don't put the yarn over the needle. Take your tapestry needle, purl off, knit on. You need to do this when you don't have any distractions because it's easy to get confused until you're proficient. Again, front needle, knit off, purl on, back needle, purl off, knit on. Let me hold it here. Knit off, purl on, purl off, knit on. I'm going to stop at this point and show you what we've done. If I hold it out, you can see, although this is a thicker yarn, that it looks like we're mimicking a knitting stitch. And there's going to be, when I pull the tension and adjust the tension, which we do at the very end, don't worry about this as you're performing the grafting. You can pull the yarn to have it mimic exactly the amount of the stitches here, the width of the stitches And your finished product, you should not be able to tell when you use the same color yarn or your tail end of the working yarn. It will be a seamless look. I've switched the temporary yarn back to the working yarn for the project here, so you can see how seamless a look is created once you've finished your grafting and adjusted the tension on your piece. I've already done so here and adjusted the tension at the beginning of this piece, and you can see this is the spot where my live stitches have been grafted, and you need to pull the yarn and adjust it, tug it here and there to adjust the tension. And I just take my tapestry needle at this point, go back and adjust the yarn accordingly, pull it a bit to make that seam almost practically invisible. So you do this all the way through to the end of your project, and you can see I still need a little bit of adjusting here. It's a little bit wide, a little bit airy, but it's much better on this side. You'll want to do that all the way down the line of your grafting stitches. I haven't completed here. And then take your yarn end and just use that for a seam or bury it so it's invisible. Kitchener stitch, a great technique.